Welcome to another episode of the SaaS Cast, the show that flips the traditional podcast format on its head. Here, we have a simple rule, just one question, one answer for some of the biggest names in the SaaS world. And today, we're thrilled to have the co-founder of Lexop, their leading debt collection platform that's helping companies retain past due customers by facilitating payment and empowering them to self-serve their outstanding balances. And you know I love numbers, so here's a number you can't ignore. Their solutions boasting an astonishing 18 times average return on investment and a 10% reduction in OpEx. Michel, it's such an honor to have you with us. Why don't we kick things off and share a little bit about yourself and your company and how you got to where you are today as the business?
Yeah, of course. Thank you very much for the introduction. I'm very, very happy to be here. Big fan of what you do.
Thank you.
So about myself, I have a degree in computer engineering with a specialization in artificial intelligence. I've worked in flight simulation for close to a decade, which took me all over the world. I think I have 3 passports full of stamps, and gave me the opportunity to play with some of the coolest, most expensive toys out there.
Nice.
And then 8 years ago, following a whole lot of tequila, which I think is a story for maybe another podcast.
Yeah, definitely.
My Lexop adventure began with two amazing co-founders, and now a team of close to 30 people. It's awesome. It's a dream and a privilege is really all I could say.
Yeah, one of the things that you were mentioning, not to cut you off, was just your fulfillment with seeing the amazing people that support your business and that have helped you since day one. I got this sentiment that people and culture was your greatest, source of pride when it comes to looking at the business. And so, yeah, maybe you can just double click on some of those moments where those individual heroic, strategy sessions or late night things kind of really moved the needle and built that appreciation for and love and admiration for the team.
The thing that I'll be most fond of when I look back on Lexop will be the amazing people that we managed to bring into the company. And it's the way I see it is, for us, we, in a sense, it's our company, right? We will do whatever it takes to make it work. But all these people that consciously make the decision day in and day out to continue to come to work and put in the hours and put in the efforts when they could be possibly making much higher salaries at a lot of bigger companies out there, is something I find astounding. It's a true privilege to be able to say that these people are working at Lexop, and they are the most important thing. If it's not the team, there's no product, there are no customers, there's nothing, right?
Yeah. It's literally the biggest asset you'll ever have as an entrepreneur. In any business, and I'm a big believer that people and culture separate, great companies from the unstoppable ones. And so, there's no doubt that this is definitely a more niche area of SaaS solutions for a business. But you're a small and a mighty team, and I think you're around 40 people now, or is
30.
that right?
We're at 30 people.
30? Okay, yeah.
Yep.
And so, 30 people building, a debt collection platform, servicing, really large enterprises in some highly regulated industries. How did you do that? What was the way that you were able to, build a great product, have the technical, governance, security, meet all the regulations that you would need to meet through procurement, and be able to scale so quickly?
I think the best answer I can give is the people, the people that work with us.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you talked about regulations. We're SOC 2 Type 2 compliant, which is something that's a necessity with the companies that we do business with. It's a great thing to have, but I mean,
I agree.
Beyond that, it's practically a requirement. And we got our first our type 1 when we were 10 employees, which and we got it with Deloitte, who told us they had never encountered a company of our size getting a type 1. And I mean, it was an enormous amount of work. It was possibly the biggest pain in my ass. So many processes that ultimately are extremely important, but very, very hard to put in place in a company of 11 people, right? Just think segregation of duty is hard when you're wearing all these different hats, right? But the exercise was incredibly important because it allowed us to put things in place that were beneficial to future scaling of the product, the company, our hiring processes, our governance, right, which is extremely important when you consider that we have investors and we have a board coming in. So there's a certain level of protocols that are put in place that make it a lot easier to transition into that. So definitely worth having. Worst time of my life.
But so if I were to paraphrase what I'm hearing is like, we're a small, mighty team. The great debate between whether you build with security first or you build it after. Again, I think your choice was pretty simple and straightforward. You built it with it first because of the industry that you were in. But that sounds like it was a little bit of a springboard for you because it helped you build a lot of those processes and frameworks that would have been needed when you were at that point in moment of growth, where you must have had those things. And by having them already kind of like hardened and in a place that have been used for a while, you probably, were able to take a few leaps that maybe competitors weren't able to because they built with security as an afterthought. Outside of that, one other thing that, Michel, that you were sharing with me is that, you kind of had, you experienced many roles within the company before CTO or maybe while being CTO for all I know. But, do you think by going through and experiencing, some of those different departments and roles that, that may have also contributed to your ability to move fast and deliver value frequently? And maybe if you could share what those roles were and some cool experiences that you had.
Of course. So when we started, we were 3 people. We became eventually 4 and 5, but for a very long time, we remained a pretty small team, which meant we had to do, I think I was involved in sales. I took care of customer success, customer support, technical support, everything product related, everything infrastructure related. So there was a lot of different responsibilities that we were juggling with at the same time, and not just me, right? I'm talking about myself, but I mean our CEO Amir was doing the work of 10 people, right? Was involved in every sales process. Obviously, was involved in hiring, was involved in finances, in payroll, and everything you had to do, right? It was definitely challenging. What that helped, well, at least me specifically, do is I got the opportunity of dealing with customers directly, either through technical support or customer success in general, and that gave me a perspective that I wouldn't otherwise have had. Right, as an engineer, you're used to square boxes and very structured processes, and you build things that are very functional and that work, but that don't necessarily provide an expected user experience to regular human beings, right? And you don't know how people approach your product because all you know is how it's been built. And so you are exactly aware of what every button does and how that button should be clicked and exactly what it does and what you do next, right? Because you built the button, you built what comes next, and you've tied it all together. But then when you start to deal with customers and they tell you they have issues and you don't understand why, because it's so clear and easy for them to do this, and then they show you and you realize that they're doing things you never imagined. And then you go, oh, okay, I guess it's not that clear, right? After all.
Yeah.
So it teaches you to consider how somebody who's never seen your product would approach it. And beyond that, as you're in those conversations, it allows you to ask follow-up questions like, how do you enjoy the product? What do you like most about it? What would you like to see change? How can, like, what else is hard in your job, right? Is there anything else I could help with? Is there something else we can do? So I think it's a gold mine. I think everybody should do tech support.
Yeah.
It's something that every employee of any company should go through at one point or another.
You know, I agree. I was trying to think of an example. So FreshBooks and Mike McDermott, it's been a while probably since we've heard his name, obviously after building such a big SaaS company, but he had a role, and that was everyone must work for 3 months in customer support. Doesn't matter what your role is within the company. And so when I think about like what you were just describing there, you gained an intimate understanding of the customer, the value that they derived from using the product. You learned about their usage patterns, how they use the product, the unexpected moments and use cases, and then took that knowledge and were able to feed it back into product and into technology in a much more streamlined, probably in a faster way. And you took the learning not just for that moment, but with you as you played in multiple different roles, right? So yeah, I can see how that could also help you deliver value faster. And then the other part of this that I like is that, 37 Signals has this book called Rework, and one of their kind of lessons was do it yourself first, and so never hire someone to do a job until you've tried to do it yourself. That way you understand the nature of the work, you know what a job well done actually looks like, but most importantly, you'll be a better manager because you've done that work, and you'll know when to push and when to support. And so, yeah, this kind of leads into right now. You're still taking a page from the playbook of when you guys were the startup, and now you're in that scale and grow. And so you have this joint role between CPO and CTO. And so I love that you're kind of following that modality. And so I think, like the challenges there is, product and tech, there's always healthy debates, many of them quite frequently throughout the day. And so like, what's that conversation like in your head, without it trying to be funny or playful, but like, I can only imagine that internal debate you must have sometimes. And so I guess what advice would you have for other people who are holding dual roles in a company, about hearing both voices and thinking about both roles and then applying?
I think something that's interesting about the especially the CTO and product position is, so when we started, and to some extent still now, I used to be referred to as Mr. No. I would say no a lot, right? Not because I'm a douche or anything, but there'd be a lot of situations where people would come up with like great ideas, or come up with we should build this, and I'd go, meh, I don't think we can. Like, oh no, this wouldn't work because of this. This is something that, again, not to knock on engineers or anything, this is something that we're very good at finding flaws in reasoning, or finding or situations or why something wouldn't work. Not always that great at figuring out the solution, but or at least we can come up with a solution. But the first instinct we have is to define where this will break down, right?
Yeah.
And why you need to have these two different mindsets is that you need somebody that can dream or think of something with no constraints, no need to worry about the reality of it actually being developed, and somebody that comes in and tells them what is and isn't possible, right? Because when you put these two people together, the compromise, so the output is none of them are actually entirely happy, but both together end up with something that works and that is the best possible outcome for your products. And when you don't have these two roles, when you have only a CTO, or when you only have a product owner or a head of product, you find yourself in an unbalanced situation where you might have somebody that knows exactly how stuff should be built, and uses their knowledge of the technological constraints to limit the innovation.
Yeah, and so handing over to the engineering team, you've got this great vision, and then all of a sudden they're like, do you know how long this will take to build? This is like
Correct.
a year. Yeah. So I've been in tons of those rooms before. And so, like I was thinking maybe the value is you're able to, again, operate at a much higher velocity with a smaller, base of employees, because you're wearing these dual roles, and you can just move faster. And again, you're still a lot of the core founding team. But as you just mentioned, that I think the bigger takeaway is that if you're in a role, whether you're an engineer or in product or in customer support, you should be looking at it from all those three lenses within your respective role. What's best for product, what's best for customer, and what's best from a technology standpoint, and coming together and making an aligned decision based on the outcome that you guys are all trying to achieve. So maybe it's more of a way of working that can deliver value faster and help you guys operate with such efficiency at such a size. And then finally, absolutely.
If I can add something, I don't want to make it sound like I'm doing all of this myself in a vacuum or anything. Like I have an amazing product owner, product designer. I have an amazing VP of engineering. So these conversations still happen, right? I think what I try to do, and what is sometimes difficult when you started with in a situation where you pretty much wore all these different hats, is I do my best to let go and let other people run with their own ideas and run through their own processes, and then, like you said, know when to support and when to dive in directly. Like I do the best I can, not always successfully, I'll say, but I do the best I can to let these different perspectives run their course, right? So
yeah. Well, I mean, it's amazing, just hearing your story, the business that you've built. I'm walking away today being like, the culture that you guys have created. I think most people that work for SaaS companies want to hear exactly what you just said, but you can tell it's real and it's authentic, and that these people that you work with every day are as like your family. And so that's inspiring. And I'm sure many of them have been with you for many, many years throughout the journey. And so, yeah, if nothing else, I think small teams can do a lot of great things really quickly. Sometimes it's wearing multiple hats. Sometimes it's going and experiencing multiple roles, and sharing that knowledge as you scale and grow and start to hire for those people. And sometimes it's because, you bake security in when you start building the platform. But I appreciate you sharing these little nuggets of wisdom in your perspective today with us. Michel, if anyone wants to learn more about your company or get in touch with you, what are the ways that they can do that?
Please, they can follow us on Instagram. They can follow us on LinkedIn. They can reach out. You can reach out to me directly if there's anything you want. Please add me on LinkedIn. I'll be very, very happy to engage and see if there's any sort of opportunity. If anything, it'll just be a good conversation.
Absolutely, and that's definitely another thing I think that every startup and scale up should continue to bring into their culture is open doors and healthy conversations. Every conversation, whether it's good or bad, is a conversation that needs to be had, and just creating that communication. I think as you scale and grow, it becomes way more siloed, and maybe that's the point that we didn't touch on today. But thanks again. Thanks for sharing how people can get in touch with you, and I hope you have a great rest of your day ahead, and we'll be cheering on the sidelines for your next round of success.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much,
Amazing.
Jason, for this opportunity. It's very, very cool.
Awesome. Thank you.